Come here.
What do you have?
You love me?
Yes, I love you.
Come here.
What is it?
You love me? Back up. Back up.
No, what is it? What is that?
You love me?
Yes, I love you.
You love me?
Babe.
You love me?
Yes, I love you.
You be my wife?
Babe, what is that? Babe,
You see
stop
what it
lying. Stop.
You see what it is? Look, y'all. I'm ready. Bitch,
Babe. Ew.
You gonna marry me?
Yes, I'll marry you.
Come here. Come here then.
What if the happiest moment of your life was actually your death sentence? Jakaira Triplett said yes to a proposal. 3 days later, she was gone. Today we're covering a case where love turned deadly. This is the story that no one saw coming. Before we begin, I need to say this. Our hearts go out to Jakaira's family, her brother Paris, her mother, everyone who loved her. This isn't just another case to us. We're telling Jakaira's story to honor who she was. And maybe, just maybe, help someone else recognize the warning signs, because that's what she would have wanted. I'm here with another case that, well, it's going to stay with you. But first, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to follow this one to the end. Now, this happened in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We're talking about events that unfolded between New Year's Eve 2024 and January 2025. Just weeks ago, the investigation, still ongoing. So here's what I promise you. Every single detail I share has been verified. No speculation, no guessing, just the facts, and they're disturbing enough. You're gonna learn how a 24-year-old woman fell in love with the wrong man, how warning signs were missed, and how a proposal became the beginning of the end. Let me tell you about Jakaira. Born Jakaira Triplett, but most people knew her as Jakaira Ortiz. She was 24, just 24 years old. Everyone who knew her says the same thing. Caring, supportive, the kind of person who would drop everything to help a friend. Her brother Paris, they were close. Really close. He lived in Virginia, but they talked all the time. Her social media, it showed a woman who seemed happy, posting pictures, sharing moments, living her life. She had a job, she had dreams, she had people who loved her. But there was one choice she made, one relationship, that worried everyone around her. His name was Julian Goode-Wallace, 26 years old, and this is where everything went wrong. Jakaira's family, they had concerns, big concerns. See, Julian wasn't exactly clean. Court records show arrests for breaking and entering, assault charges. This wasn't some guy who made one mistake. But Jakaira, she saw something in him, she believed. And this breaks my heart to say, she believed she could fix him, could help him change. And recently, he proposed. She said yes, posted about it. Happy photos, excited messages to friends and family. She thought this was her fairy tale beginning. But for Julian, this engagement was something else entirely. The people who loved Jakaira, they started seeing changes, small things at first. She wasn't calling as much, wasn't hanging out with her friends like she used to. Her brother Paris, he noticed she seemed different, quieter, more distant. And Julian, he was always around, always watching, always needing to know where she was, who she was with. Classic control tactics. But here's what really scared her family. Julian was still on probation, still dealing with his legal mess. The courts had given him chance after chance, and he kept screwing up. These weren't just red flags, these were alarm bells. But when you're in love, or think you're in love, sometimes you can't hear them. Then came the proposal. We don't know all the details of how Julian did it, but we know Jakaira was over the moon. She posted about it, shared photos of the ring, called her family with the news. You could hear the joy in her voice, the excitement. She thought this was it, her happily ever after. But her family? Their reactions were complicated. They loved Jakaira. They wanted her to be happy. But Julian? They had serious doubts. And during this time, Julian's behavior was telling. He was possessive, jealous, making sure he was the center of her world. Looking back, the proposal wasn't about love. It was about ownership, about making sure she couldn't leave. They were living together in Fayetteville, Julian and Jakaira, sharing an apartment, sharing a life. At least, that's what she thought. The final days of December 2024. They seemed normal enough. Jakaira was still texting her brother, still posting online, still making plans for the future. Her last real conversations with family, they were typical, everyday stuff. Nothing that screamed danger, nothing that said help me. But behind closed doors, something dark was taking shape. Julian had made a decision, and Jakaira, she had no idea what was coming. December 31st, 2024, New Year's Eve. While millions of people were celebrating, preparing for a fresh start, Jakaira was spending the evening with Julian. This was the last time anyone would see her alive. Her social media that night, normal. A few posts about the new year coming, hope for the future. But then, silence. Complete silence. January 1st came and went. No posts, no texts to her brother, no calls to family. This wasn't like Jakaira. She talked to her family constantly, daily check-ins, random messages throughout the day. When that stopped, people noticed. Her brother Paris, he started calling. No answer. Her friends, odd, same thing. Something was very, very wrong. January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd, 3 full days and nothing. Paris kept calling his sister, straight to voicemail. He tried reaching out to her friends, asking if anyone had heard from Jakaira. Nothing. This was beyond unusual. This was terrifying. By January 3rd, Paris made a decision that probably saved, well, it helped bring answers. He got in his car in Virginia and drove straight to North Carolina. He wasn't waiting anymore. When he got to Fayetteville, he went straight to the police, filed a missing person report, told them this wasn't like his sister, that something had happened. In the morning, Fayetteville police responded to that missing person report at the 900 block of Tamarack Drive. They were expecting to do a welfare check, maybe find Jakaira upset or hiding. Instead, they found a crime scene. Jakaira was inside that apartment, dead. Fatal injuries. That's all I'm going to say about that. Because what happened to her, it was brutal. And Julian, nowhere to be found. The man who claimed to love her had vanished. The moment police found Jakaira's body, Julian became suspect number 1. And he knew it. He had disappeared, completely off the grid. Police immediately issued a warrant, first-degree murder. The community, they rallied. Search parties, social media campaigns, local news picked up the story. And Jakaira's family, they did something incredibly brave. They went public, made pleas for information, asked anyone who knew anything to come forward. Because they wanted justice, they wanted answers, and they wanted Julian found. The Fayetteville Police Department, they took this case seriously from minute 1. Detective Shirey, he's the lead investigator, experienced, thorough, the kind of cop who doesn't quit until he gets answers. The crime scene, they processed everything. Every piece of evidence, every fingerprint, every drop of blood. The autopsy results, I won't go into detail, but they confirmed what everyone already knew. Jakaira was murdered. And the timeline, police started putting together exactly what happened, when it happened, how long Julian had to run before anyone found her body. Every detail mattered, because they knew they had to build an airtight case. January 12, 2025, 8 days after Jakaira's body was found, Police got their break. Julian was spotted near Santa Fe Drive in Fayetteville. They moved fast, arrested him without incident, charged with first-degree murder. No bond, zero. The judge wasn't taking any chances. Julian was taken to Cumberland County Detention Center, where he sits right now, waiting for his court date, waiting to face what he did. And for the first time since this nightmare began, Jakaira's family could breathe. Not relief, because nothing brings her back, but knowing he couldn't hurt anyone else. The evidence against Julian, it's overwhelming. Physical evidence from the crime scene, DNA, fingerprints, the kind of proof that doesn't lie. Witnesses came forward, people who had seen Julian's behavior toward Jakaira, his jealousy, his anger. Then there's the digital trail, text messages, social media activity, phone records that show exactly where he was and when. But here's what really sealed it. This wasn't Julian's first time being violent. Police found records of previous domestic incidents, complaints that had been filed and then dropped. Because that's what happens. Victims get scared. They hope things will change. They protect their abusers until it's too late. Paris Austin, Jakaira's older brother. He gave an interview that will break your heart. He said, and I'm quoting him directly, "I miss her smile." Just those 4 words. But the way he said it, you could hear everything. The love, the pain, the regret. He talked about driving from Virginia, not knowing what he'd find, hoping against hope that maybe she was just hiding somewhere, safe somewhere. But when the police found her body, Paris was there. He heard his mother scream. He watched his family fall apart in real time. And now, he's the one speaking for Jakaira, because she can't speak for herself anymore. Fayetteville, this community, they stepped up. The moment this story broke, people were sharing Jakaira's picture, demanding justice, talking about domestic violence in ways they never had before. Local organizations started reaching out, offering support to the family, counseling services, legal help, whatever they needed. Because this case, it hit home. It could have been anyone's daughter, anyone's sister. The calls for justice, they're loud, they're persistent, and they're not going away until Julian faces the full consequences of what he did. Look, if Jakaira's story teaches us anything, it's that we need to pay attention. Julian showed classic control patterns. He monitored where she went, who she talked to. He slowly cut her off from friends and family, made himself the center of her world. And his criminal history, that was a red flag the size of a billboard. Men who hurt other people, they don't suddenly become gentle with the women they claim to love. But here's the hard truth. Victims stay. They stay because they're scared. They stay because they think they can fix their abuser. They stay because leaving, can be the most dangerous time of all. Jakaira stayed, and it cost her everything. If you're watching this, and something sounds familiar, please listen. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. They're available 24/7. If you can't call, you can text START to 88788. If you have a friend or family member in an abusive relationship, don't give up on them. Don't judge them for staying. Just let them know you're there when they're ready. There are legal protections available. Restraining orders, emergency housing, counseling services. The support systems exist, but people have to know about them. And they have to feel safe enough to use them. Right now, as I'm recording this, Julian Goode-Wallace sits in a jail cell at Cumberland County Detention Center. No bond, no freedom, no ability to hurt anyone else. He's waiting for his day in court. And let me tell you exactly what he's facing. First-degree murder. Not manslaughter, not second degree. First degree, which means prosecutors believe this was premeditated, planned, calculated. They believe Julian didn't just snap in a moment of anger. He made a cold, deliberate decision to take Jakaira's life. And if convicted, he's looking at life in prison. Life, no parole, no early release for good behavior, no second chances, no getting out in 20 years to start over with a new name and a new town. Life means life. The legal process ahead, it's going to be brutal for Jakaira's family. Months of preparation, jury selection, pre-trial hearings, media coverage, and then the trial itself, where they'll have to sit in that courtroom and listen to every horrible detail of what Julian did to their daughter, their sister. But they're prepared to do it. Paris Austin, Jakaira's mother, the whole family. They're prepared to show up to every single hearing, every court date, every proceeding, because they want justice. Not just any justice, real justice, the kind that honors Jakaira's memory and makes sure Julian never gets the chance to do this to another woman. Detective Shirey, he's not done. The arrest was just the beginning. He's still working this case every single day, still gathering evidence, still talking to witnesses, still building the strongest possible case for the prosecution. And if you're out there, if you have any information about Julian and Jakaira, about their relationship, about what you might have seen or heard, Detective Shirey at the Fayetteville Police Department needs to hear from you. 910-751-3009. Maybe you saw them together and noticed something off. Maybe you witnessed an argument. Maybe Jakaira confided in you about problems she was having. Maybe you know something about Julian's behavior that could help prosecutors understand his pattern of violence. Every detail matters. Every witness matters. Every piece of evidence could be the one that seals his fate. Because the truth, the complete, unvarnished truth, that's what Jakaira deserves. That's what her family deserves. That's what this community demands. And that's what Julian is going to face, whether he wants to or not. Jakaira Triplett was more than just a victim. So much more. She was a daughter who called her mother regularly, just to check in, just to say hello. She was a sister who had that special bond with Paris, the kind of relationship where you can talk about anything or nothing at all. She was a friend who remembered birthdays, who showed up when people needed her, who had this way of making others feel heard, feel valued. She was a young woman with dreams, real dreams, plans for her future, a career she wanted to build, places she wanted to travel, maybe children she wanted to have someday. A whole beautiful life stretched out ahead of her, until Julian Goode-Wallace decided to steal it all. That's what we need to remember when we talk about this case. Not just the horror of how she died, but the beauty of how she lived. The love she gave, the joy she brought to other people's lives, the potential that was ripped away. If this case has opened your eyes to domestic violence, if it's made you think differently about relationships, about warning signs, about how we protect the people we love, then good. That's exactly what needs to happen. Talk about it with your friends, your family. Share the resources I mentioned earlier. Be the person who notices when someone is being isolated, controlled, hurt. Be the person who doesn't just walk away when things get uncomfortable. Because there are Jakairas everywhere. Women who need help but don't know how to ask for it. Women who are trapped in relationships that are slowly killing them, sometimes literally. And please, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell. Share this video. Because we're not done with this story. Not even close. We'll be here when Julian's case goes to trial. We'll be here to cover every development, every hearing, every step toward justice. We'll be here when the jury delivers their verdict. And we'll be here when he's sentenced for what he did. This isn't just content for us. This is a promise to Jakaira's family, a promise that her story won't be forgotten, that her life mattered, that the man who took everything from her will be held accountable. Jakaira's story, it doesn't end with her death. It continues with our commitment to justice, our commitment to change, our commitment to making sure other women don't suffer the same fate. Her story continues until Julian Goode-Wallace pays the full price for what he did, And that day is coming.